Hello everyone, hi, this is Justin here. Today I have Raymond with me.
Hi everyone, my name is Raymond Tia here.
So today in this video, basically we are not going through the slides and everything. So over here, we are just casually discussing what is actually going on in the market and end of the day, what we can actually value add to all my consumers, all my followers, and what you can actually learn from this video itself.
I think it's very important, is especially for a lot of the buyers today, they really want to understand how to use the financial calculation to help them to make a good decision before they buy a property, be it is for own stay or be it is for investment. So today I think both of us is going to discuss and share with every one of you here on what are the calculators that normally we use to help our clients for their property purchase. Even till today that we have 4 of our concept calculators, right?
We have about.
But today I think we are going to share 2 main ones.
So actually, why is it important for you to actually understand all this? Because end of the day, the number will actually let you know what actually works better for you. So in fact, actually today, I'm using this as a case study. And actually this case study, I would say that it relates to a lot of young couple or even a small family where they actually started off with their HDB, probably, or even an EC, whereby when at their MOP at the crossroad junction, they are deciding what works the best for them.
I think Justin, we have many cases. I think very common cases like this. A lot of people looking to upgrade their property from a HDB to a private condo. But there's a lot of articles telling you renew launch is better. Some is telling you resale property is better. And that caused a lot of mixed thoughts and thinking and some of the confusion that they have in the market. So I think this is going to be a very good case study that we're going to share with everyone to base on calculations, numbers, and of course end day it will depends on your own needs as well. But I think before we buy any property, financial is the most important thing that is a big consideration for a lot of the consumer out there.
True. So basically, before we go into the calculator, end of the day, I just want to let everyone know that different cases or rather different scenario works differently. So to have a better in-depth understanding of how to make use of the calculator, please do PM myself or even Raymond directly so that we can give you the full suites of the calculator and different calculation to let you have a better understanding. Alright, so let us go directly into the case study itself. So basically in this case study, like I said, is pretty much generic. So Aaron, Jamie already sold their HDB and they had already reached their crossroad of what works for them, whether is it resale or new launch. And very first calculator that I'm going to share with all of you is basically the most important factor also, which is your capital outlay. So over here, if you notice, I have actually break down into BUC, which is building under construction, as well as resale. Alright, and with that, I break down into each and individual down payment that is required, your stamp duty, your installment, and end of the day, the most important part is what is the main difference. And if let's say this difference means a lot to you, then end of the day, you are very clear, okay, then this should be the path I should be looking out for.
Wait bro, why you use 2.3 million for the BUC?
Okay, I would say that because today, if you know that new launch or we talk about building under construction, especially when developer actually buying land at a higher price as compared to the older condo, let's say maybe about 10, 15 years, the selling price of a new launch will always be higher than resale. So it doesn't make sense for me to price it at the same price because end of the day, it is not a comparison which is equivalent to the current market condition.
Right. That's why you use a 1.8 million for a resale condo, right?
Correct.
Which is both are a 3-bedder, right? So I think a lot of the consumer in their head, they're always thinking, hey, why should we be paying maybe another 500,000 more to buy a brand new condo? So I believe today you are going to share with everyone based on this capital outlay comparison calculator to show every consumer what are the differences, right?
True.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
Let's go directly into the capital outlay itself. So if let's say I use building under construction, which is new launch in short. So for a 2.3 million budget, 2.3 million quantum, a 3-bedroom, what kind of down payment am I looking at? So first thing first, of course, we talk about the 5%, your stamp duty, your legal fee, your 15%, which is where your completion is. So end of the day, my total outlay, alright, together with all this progressive payment installment, because if you know that building under construction, once you buy a 2.3 million unit, you don't pay that 2.3 million or the full loan immediately. It's based on progressive payment. So that means meaning to say that you pay as once the developer finish certain stages. Alright, so together with the down payment, which is the 25% plus stamp duty, plus all your installment, which is over here. So your total outlay plus installment is 850,000. However, if we take at the resale, where we are looking at only 1.8 million, same thing, we are taking a full 75% loan, meaning to say that our down payment is 25%. Alright, so with your 25% down payment, together with your fully dispersed 75% loan, your total outlay, we are looking at 762,000. So in fact, if you are talking about a 2.3 million comparing to a 1.8 million, if you look at the overall number itself is $500,000. But if we really break down into your total outlay, which is your installment plus your down payment, the main difference, if you look at it, oh my god, it is only what? $88,000. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not as if that you think that today I'm paying 500,000 more than what a new launch unit is actually calling for, but in fact, my total difference that we're looking at is only $88,000. Alright, so what does this mean? So why is it important for you to know this? Because a lot of buyers in the market right here, right, they thought that, hey, today I'm paying a lot more because I'm paying $500,000 more for probably a smaller unit as compared to a resale. And with that, I need to fork out a lot more money to actually own that $2.3 million. But over here, with our concept calculator, as you can see over here, it really breaks down into the monthly installment as well as your initial down payment. So with that, you will be able to have a clearer picture of what you are actually paying for in terms of the total difference itself.
Wow, that is very, very important. I think this information is very important because I've met a lot of customers, a lot of buyers. Wow, they will be asking in their head, they was looking at only the quantum, meaning the purchase price, 500,000 more. Remember, why should I be buying a property that I fork out 500,000 more? But in fact, if you look into the fine details, it's actually merely 88,000. But what can this 88,000 benefit all the buyers? That is the most important question related.
Definitely.
Right? So later we will be sharing with you how does this new BUC, the performance of that can help you in your future of the property appreciation. Okay?
I think that is also most important thing because end of the day, today, the hard-earned money that we put in, whether is it a 2.3 million or even a 1.8 million, end of the day, the return that we are looking at in 5 years, 7 years or even 10 years later, that will matter the most because this is where our pot of gold is.
Yes.
Alright?
That's it, yes.
So Raymond, maybe you share with us like what you mentioned just now. So today, like what you mentioned, other than the capital outlay, the most important thing is also what we are actually looking at in time to come, maybe 4 years later, 5 years later.
Okay, so this one is the next calculator that we will share with every one of you. Is for the own stay analysis, BUC versus the resale, meaning the new launch property versus the resale property. Alright, so this is mainly for the own stay analysis, not for the investment kind. I'll be taking the same example as what Justin has shared just now, right, bro? The 2.3 million versus the 1.8 million. Okay, definitely we want to look at the growth of a property and we want to understand how does the property perform in the next 4 years using a brand new one versus a resale one if I buy at the same point of time, right? So you can see from this calculator, right, the growth for the new one, the annual growth is about 5%. Of course, how do we get these numbers? The one we can share in the next video, right? So everything is already pre-keyed into the calculator based on all the research background that we've done in the new launch market and of course in the resale market. And for the resale market, if you look at this, right, the annual growth is about 3%. So that will come up to about, for the new one, it will be about 500,000 in profit, and for the resale one will be about 225,000 in profit for the next 4 years at the point that we purchase. Okay, of course, we definitely need to pay some interest because we are taking loan from the bank, right? If based on the 75% loan, the interest rate now is 2.5%. For the new launch, right, for the 4 years, the interest payable is about 99,000, about 100,000. For the resale one is about 111,000. Okay, so definitely one very important thing I think a lot of consumers they didn't know about this is they don't have to pay the maintenance fee and the property tax when they are buying into the new launch until the point that they get the key. Yeah, but whereas for the resale property, once the sales complete, right, you need to start to pay your mortgage, your maintenance fee, and your property tax. So that is all included here. So let's say the maintenance is only about $330 per month. This will value up to about 16,000 plus for 4 years, and that will be the property tax here, about 9,000 plus. And one very important thing for buyers who want to buy into a resale property, definitely you need to renovate the house, right, bro?
Confirm. Now the renovation cost is crazy.
Yes. I think from some of my customers who buy a BTO or 4-room BTO, actually simple renovation, about 80,000 already. So I think it is very fair for me to take just only about 120,000 for renovation for a 3-room resale condo.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So for this furniture and fitting, I'll leave it 0 because if you buy a brand new or be it you buy a resale brand new condo, you definitely need to buy a furniture, right? So I just think it's a net off lah. Okay, because endly we want to know what is the returns that we want to get from buying a new property and a resale property.
True.
In the next 4 years time. So this is a projected property valuation after 4 years. From a 2.3 million purchase price, right, it will go up to about 2.795 based on the 5% annual growth. For the resale property, 1.8 million, of course it still grow up to 2 million, right? So, but the net profit for the new one is actually near to 400,000 in 4 years time. But if you look at the resale condo, deducting all the expenses already, actually you haven't really even break even. Almost there. But that doesn't mean that the property don't appreciate. It's because of the cost that is involved in the past 4 years that is spent into the property for you to own stay, right?
But Raymond, I just want to highlight to you because over here I see based on your calculator,
Yeah.
over here you mentioned that the rental is 0.
Yeah, wow.
Meaning to say, then where do I stay?
Bro, you're very sharp. I think you bring out a very important point. Not to worry, that one I'll share in the next slide. So let's continue with this for the last part. So based on this, right, the 400,000, actually the return of equity is a very good price, 60% return of equity. But if you buy into the resale property, I don't really see that's a lot of profit. Because of like what I mentioned is the cost that is involved, the renovation cost, the maintenance fee, everything, right? So if we were to sell this property at 2.7 million, this new launch, about 2.8 million, so I will actually take back 1 million in cash and CPF. That's mean whatever down payment that I put in, whatever installment that I put in, deduct the interest, I also take back plus the profit is 1 million.
Okay.
For the resale property, you also will take back some money, but you will take back only 540,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the drastic difference. So bear in mind that even though you think in terms of purchase price of 500,000 difference, but actually you don't top up fully 500,000. So with the difference of what just now Justin have shared is 88,000 in difference, but actually if you look at the money taking back, it's near to 450,000 difference or maybe 500,000. So I don't know. To me, additional 88,000 difference, but I can get back 500,000. I think it's a pretty good deal.
True. Definitely.
Okay. So I think I will pass back to Justin because he spotted that, hey, actually I didn't put the rental in.
So over here, I'll actually highlight because I met a lot of clients that when they're actually looking at their upgrading plans, they'll have this concern. Hey, today if you ask me, or if today I'm going to buy a new launch and I do not have a place to stay because my parents' house is small or they sold their property or my parents staying with me, then I need to incur rental. Then how? This is a cost that I need to pay and I don't want to have this cost as it will actually affect my profit. The good thing about our calculator is that over here in our calculator itself, other than be able to calculate one scenario which is where you have your maximum profit that you are able to get, whether is it you're buying a new launch or even your resale. On top of that, we are also able to calculate for you if let's say you are going to rent for the next 3 years or even 4 years, how much cost involved, and end of the day with these two calculator comparing side by side, new launch, resale, your cost of owning a new launch, your cost of owning a resale, which is basically like what Raymond actually mentioned earlier, which is your maintenance fee, your property tax, and etc. So for new launch, is there cost? There is definitely cost, which is your rental. So in this calculator itself, all the numbers that we are using are all pretty much the same, 2.3 million as compared to a 1.8 million. However, if you notice over here, I have this important factor, which is what it says, rent while waiting for building under construction. Over here, I actually highlighted for a 4 years return, same at your annual growth of 5% for BUC and 3% for resale. So with all costs added in, let's take a look at what is our end goal, which is our profit, which is I think most important thing to determine whether buying a new launch or buying a resale makes sense or not. So over here, if you notice, after factoring in my rental, my net profit now becomes 252,000, whereas comparing to the resale, now it is still a deficit of about 40,000. So imagine today, if let's say you're looking at one of the new launch and you are okay, or rather you realize that, hey, actually my cost of owning, first thing first, my capital outlay is only 88,000. On top of that, if I still need to rent, even though adding in the cost of rental, I still have a profit of about 200 over 1,000, and my return of equity is still pretty healthy at 40%.
Yep.
End of the day, I think the decision is very, very clear. Because whatever hard-earned money today that we put in, whether the profit goes how much, we are not able to predict or we are not able to help you to anticipate. But most important thing is the money that we put in must continue to grow so that we can elevate our asset. We can actually have options in the event if, let's say, in 4 years' time, 5 years' time, we decided to upgrade or we have other plans in our property type.
Yeah, that's very important because I think like what Justin mentioned just now, right, bro? I think what you mentioned is very important because we cannot detect and we cannot predict what is the profit mainly for the future. But I think very important if we look into the numbers, right, it's very clear that definitely the performance is slightly more better than the resale for the new launch, right? And I think it's not about the amount of money that we can make in future, but I think it's actually the value of our time.
True.
Because once these 4 years pass, right, we can't turn back the clock already.
Of course.
So that's why I want to do this video. I think this is a very important video to help to empower more of the consumer out there to make a wiser decision, a better decision. But I think, bro, some people they are very number driven. See, look at this equity. Wow. They will see, don't tally this number, this 38%. Don't tally how to get this 38%. Is there some component missing in this 38%? Or even this 900 over 1,000, right?
I think, yeah, this is
I think we discussed this also.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think this is important thing because I think some of you, if let's say you're in financial industry or you're very, very sensitive to numbers, you may find that, actually, where does this 38% come from and how do we derive this 38%?
Yeah. If you based on this number itself, right, 200 over 1,000, divided by just based on the purchase price, I think the numbers does not come up to 38%. There is another component I think is missing here.
Correct. Which is important for you to know why, because end of the day, whatever calculator that we need to use, we also need to double check, triple check to make sure that whatever that we are going to present to you makes sense and also the numbers are actually correctly calculated. Alright, so I think since Raymond actually pointed this out, maybe I'll let him share with you where is the missing component that actually derive this 38%. Alright, like Raymond?
So actually, if you look at the numbers, like for those friends out there, if you are very number driven, if you will pause the video and you do the calculation, right, I think you might not be able to get the return of equity, right?
Yes.
So because there is another element here, which is the principal amount being paid for the past 4 years. Yeah, a lot of people they miss out on this because when you pay the mortgage, right, yes, of course there's an interest that you cannot take back, but there is also a very important factor which is the principal amount, because this money that is going to a property after you sell, you come back, so that will also be forming the money that is taken back, and that will also help you to have a difference of the return of equity. So this is the very important one, which our calculator will do all the job for you. You don't have to manually do it like us. We do it manually because we want to demonstrate to you guys how it's being tabulated out. But for our calculator, we have all the calculation done at the back end. So at the tip of a finger, we can actually do up all the calculation for you seamlessly. So technically, actually we can be doing like a banker job.
True.
Yeah, so today, I mean that as a salesperson, as a property agent, it's not an easy job. But I think with all our concept calculator, it really helps our clients easily. And they don't really need to, for a certain calculation, they have to look for a banker. Actually, we ourselves, we can help them on this calculation even before they decide whether they want to buy a property or whether they want to buy what kind of property. So of course, some of our clients, after going through this, right, they will still double check with a banker. And we have been doing this for many years. And I think the numbers, the calculation is more or less very similar to what the bankers is giving them. So I think that is a very good thing for all our consumers and our friends out there. So if you are interested to find out more, you can always feel free to contact us. Of course, whatever things that we mentioned here, of course, is based on our own experience, our own research, calculators that we have. So I think anything more you want to share, bro?
Okay, so basically, I think in this video itself, I think we cover a couple of them, which is the outlay and as well as for own stay analysis.
Yes.
But if you talk about today, buyers, right, they have different scenario and there are some calculators that we didn't cover for this video itself. So for example, just now we covered based on own stay. How about investment?
Yeah,
what about investment calculator where you will see the difference between if I'm buying a resale, I can rent immediately. I can have immediate rental income comparing to a new launch. What kind of numbers are we looking at? I think that is also very interesting for us to actually delve into it. If you want, you can actually DM us, myself or even Raymond. Or if not, you can wait for our next video. We will share actually in depth more into different calculators to let you have a better understanding before you really make into that decision yourself. All right.
So I think you're mentioning investment as some people maybe you want to buy a second property for rental or for long-term or short-term investment, right? Okay, good. So then we have to go into doing slides again.
Oh my. At the a lot, but it's okay for you guys only.
So okay, my name is Raymond here.
My name is Justin.
We will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.